Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, Solana has had an absolutely amazing week, as we can see here, with its price currently sitting around $29.18, clearing a key zone of liquidity and possibly opening up a door for potential growth into the future. And so now at this point, I want to talk about what Solana is doing now and what we can expect from it going forward based off of this move. Now, many of you do know in my last video, I was actually cautious. I was actually more concerned. I said, look, we're rolling over here. The moment that we got up towards this 618 to 786 level, and we also paired it up with a strong liquidity level, I said, listen, I'm going to slow down on my purchases until we can clearly see that this thing is able to be broken. As you can see, ever since the beginning of the year, we've put in resistance and resistance on multiple consistent occasions. And I was like, I have no reason to just say, oh, now's definitely the time, right? So what I want to see is, can we break this thing? And then once we break this thing, can we hold this thing? Because if that's the case, and if we can hold some support and start to use this to climb and use this as a foundation to build, now we're talking about a $37 Solana. Now we're talking about a $40 Solana. Now we're in that position. Right now, is that a right now thing? No, I'm not going to say it's a right now thing, but it just opens the door, and that's all I needed to see Solana do, and well, it just did it. Now, going forward, what can we learn from this, and of course, how do we go about it now? Well, one thing that we can learn is that when the news starts to get the ugliest for Solana, it's typically just the best time to buy, right? I mean, back here around this $19-ish level, when everyone was screaming that this thing was about to go to $10 and blah, 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 we were actually still purchasing a bit. Look at this. Over on the Patreon, Solana purchase made for $350 at $19.75 average cost. Guys, I mean, that's right here. You know what I mean? This little area right here. Now, yes, were we concerned? Were we saying, oh shit, it might pull to the downside of this ascending support? Absolutely. But we were still buying because we have that faith in Solana, and it is now paying off, obviously, with the price climbing from that purchase all the way up to around, 50%. The $350 is up over 150 bucks. It's great, right? So with that in mind, even if the time does come in which Solana's price starts to pull back again into the future here, I am still confident that Solana's long-term future is bright, and I think that there are many other people out there who agree, which could be great for Solana's long-term buying pressure. Now, at this given point, from a technical perspective, I will say still I am moving slow. I am back to dollar cost averaging because now that we have cleared this, I'm confident enough to dollar cost average, but all I'm going to say is I'm just being careful. Okay, what you can see here, the overbought reading has now printed that typically says, okay, we're probably going to get the pullback soon. You guys know Solana likes to work in multiples. It likes to work in multiples here. It likes to work in multiples there. It has many a time in which once we set in these two and we start to get that reversal triangle, we start to get a little bearish divergence printing. Yeah, we probably going to see a bit of a pullback. Okay. And so although we haven't got that bearish divergence yet, we haven't got the peak finder yet or a red reversal triangle just yet. So meaning we may still have a little bit more room to run to the upside. We are probably getting a bit extended. I mean, you look at your Bollinger Bands, we're way extended in the top side of the Bollinger Bands. And generally speaking, that means that a pullback is going to happen at some point relatively soon. Now, best case scenario is it pulls back, hangs on top of support here on top of $25 to $27 and then looks to continue. That's best case scenario because then that puts us in position for a $37 move. But obviously that's speculation, just guessing. We just have to wait and see. So for me personally, I am back to dollar cost averaging here on Solana and starting to get my purchases slowly going. Even if the price does roll at this given point, I am still rather confident because again, we were able to make a move like this in a time like we're in. Now, one reason why I do get increasingly more confident in Solana is because people are actually reacting well to good things. They're reacting well to good news, and they're actually reacting well to fundamental development over on Solana. What we can see here is, let's go a little bit down. We can see why people have been buying, and we can see why the price has been rallying, even when Bitcoin's not really doing much. Yeah, obviously Bitcoin is up a decent amount, right? This is a decent move. It's not comparable to what Solana's doing right now, right? I mean, Solana's is much more parabolic, okay? So looking at this, what we can see is there's a couple things that have kind of fueled this rally. First and foremost, the Alameda FUD turned out to be less severe than anticipated. Into the block head of research, Lucas Otomuro told CoinDesk. Last week, the FTX estate staked or locked up roughly 5.5 million SOL worth $122 million at the time, easing investor sentiment. Now, I believe this is the reason why the pump started in the first place. I had been saying that for week after week after week, that this FTX shit is not as bad as people are making it out to be. It's going to turn out to be bullshit, so just buy some Solana. That's why we bought $350 of Solana, and well, here we are. Okay, now, there's also a couple other things going on. Otomuro also noted Sol's technical breakout against ETH, which have contributed to the rally, just going to show that this downtrend from 2022 could finally be over and could be Sol's time to flourish once again. in. Investors, meanwhile, have flocked to Solana's focused funds, asset manager CoinShares reported, with $24 million of net inflows just last week, which was the largest weekly influx since March of 2022, as Sol continued to assert itself as the altcoin of choice. And so as you can see here, as these fundamental things are happening on Solana as a whole, it's starting to contribute to the price. And I believe that that is something that will continue to happen, which is the reason why we weren't waiting for $5. We weren't waiting for this thing to hit $3. We were buying this thing the moment that it started to fall under $20, because if this momentum does continue, Solana could have one of the biggest resurgence that crypto has ever seen. And so with that in mind, we'll continue to update you as this does play out. At this given point, I am back to dollar cost averaging slowly. A pullback is likely. Okay, I still believe that it will pull back relatively soon, cool down a little bit. That's normal, but I am going to dollar cost average whether it pull back or it doesn't pull back, and I will of course update you no matter what happens. And so with that said, make sure you do subscribe if you are an avid Solana follower, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.